this episode of Shorthand Animated Improv, I'm joined by Bruce Phillips.
You wanted a really funny Swiss cheese scene.
Of course, I wanted it to be about. I wanted 2 Swiss cheese makers in Switzerland.
All right, write that down. We're doing that scene.
Oh yeah,
2 Swiss cheese makers.
And she's like, oh no, it inspired like holy. You know, Swiss cheese has holes in it, so we thought holy. And I was like, I remember feeling so weird when she told me that. Like, yeah.
Hello, if you're listening or watching this, thanks so much for checking it out. This is Shorthand Animated Improv, and I'm Mike, your host. Joining me this week is Bruce Phillips. I know Bruce because Bruce coached my team, Commitment Issues, for almost a year. Bruce is a great guy, and he has the best voice not currently in radio. And if you're involved around the city in comedy, there's a good chance that you know Bruce. Bruce Phillips is an actor, director, comedian, improviser living in Chicago. Bruce has done just about everything under the sun. He directs murder mystery shows for Royal Caribbean cruise lines all over the world, and he just recently wrapped up a show at the Radiance of the Seas in Sydney, Australia. Bruce has toured with Second City Theatricals aboard the Norwegian Dawn and currently tours around the country with the Mission Improbable Red Team. He's a longtime cast member of the show Hitch Cocktails at the Annoyance Theater and Clued In, the improvised murder mystery. Bruce is a huge fan of murdering people. He's also currently on the roster at Comedy Sports Chicago, and he was their former marketing director. You can see Bruce in Hitch Cocktails Friday nights at 10 p.m. at the Annoyance, where he's also on the faculty staff. Tickets are just $20. Learn more at brucetheactor.com. We pick up in the show where Bruce is talking about one of his favorite things to observe while working on a cruise ship.
You're always in someone's vacation, you know, but you live there.
Oh yeah.
Which is always kind of strange. You're always walking through. I think the thing that made me laugh the most, both from the Oasis and when I toured with Second City Theatricals, was watching grandmothers get drunk. This sort of like, this like 65, 75-year-old group just getting wasted. And you realize that like it's beautiful. Like they're young at heart. Like they're acting exactly like people that are 20 are doing it. They're yelling at the singers, they're making dirty jokes to each other, and you're just thinking,
I feel like a drunk 65-year-old is more likely to just be extroverted towards someone because they've lived before. So like anyone approach you like and say anything like outlandish or
nothing that strikes a chord.
No.
I think I generally block those out. The worst is when you bring those people to an improv show because they want to yell out,
of course,
the worst things.
You know, it's funny when you were right before you stopped coaching us, you were giving us like poor example or just examples of how to dodge, like, you know, you're gonna get shitty suggestions because there's gonna be people that just think that's what you do when you show up in Chicago or LA, like sex toys or whatever, how they yell.
The comedians in the audience.
So it was the very first week, I think it was like dildo was the very first suggestion, but we ran with it, and you know, that's like the best thing to do, right?
Pickle bread.
Wait, what? Pickle bread.
That's what I've always heard is the best answer for dildo.
Is you heard to say that to
dildo? It's pickle bread.
Oh,
you do a big suggestion.
Oh, that's silly.
I didn't invent it. I just use it.
No, I remember. Did you know who Katie Duffy was before she moved to LA?
I know that name. I can't put a face with it.
She taught at Second City for a little bit. She's probably like a little older.
Oh yeah.
I was so confused. It was like my first 2 months into classes, and the only improv I knew of was Whose Line Is It Anyway growing up. Watching that as like a 14-year-old to like 17. I was like, oh my God, I love that kind of improv. So I show up like 4 months, handful of months in, and we go to her show, and it's like, oh, this is our teacher's show. Like, this is amazing. She's going to show us how it's done. And I yelled Swiss cheese as a suggestion, expecting everything to be. It probably is, right? I thought it was like, oh, that's not yelled all the time, even though
it's great.
So they sweep their like intro, and they're like all kind of like bowing, and I'm just like, what the hell? I'm whispering.
Was this a Herald? You saw
this?
Herald?
Was a Herald. Yeah,
okay.
I should have mentioned this was at IO, and afterwards I was just like, what the heck? Like, did someone like not hear me? And she's like, oh no, you don't take a suggestion entirely.
You wanted a really funny Swiss cheese scene.
Of course, I wanted it to be about. I wanted 2 Swiss cheese makers in Switzerland.
All right, write that down. We're doing that scene.
Oh yeah,
2 Swiss cheese makers.
And she's like, oh no, it inspired like holy. You know, Swiss cheese has holes in it, so we thought holy. And I was like, I remember feeling so weird when she told me that. Like I felt like a child.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting because I think that is indicative of one of the major pitfalls of improv. Like that it's not for audience members.
Yeah.
And that is really sad to me because I don't really like that sort of improv, and not to shit on the Herald or anything, you know, or IO. I'm just saying that
everyone
like
does every now and again.
Sure, everyone does, but I'm just saying like that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying that like the Herald has become this sort of thing that is so artsy, it's almost lost the fun of it. And the good ones, I think the shows that you really like seeing, the Heralds that you do like to see, or the people that do things at IO, they're conscious of their audience and they're doing scenes and they're doing shows that are fun and playful. And I think that place for sort of a more avant-garde or an artistic thing, I think that I love it. I think that there's a place for it. I just think it needs to be protected and introduced better.
Yeah.
Then we need a suggestion. Great. Holy, like what? Like, of course they're going to be confused. If it wasn't explained right, they don't know what's happening.
I remember that was the first few experiences I had, like, I don't know, maybe half a year under my belt, being like, all right, I know how to improvise now.
Sure, 6 months. You got it. That's the standard amount to be an expert.
And I would go to shows and be so confused, like, at what people would be laughing at. And now I go to shows and I'm part of that audience that is, like, just recognizing improv moves and just laughing more at the move or the recognition of the move than the actual humor behind it. And it just seems to be the case. Like
there's a magician I was just reading a book about, who I can't remember his name, but he's one of the best card manipulators in the world, right? He's really great at all these sort of like card tricks and double cuts and lifts and doing all these things. And he does this one act at when he performs at like the Magic Castle or for a place where he knows there's a lot of magicians. Like he did this act, I guess, at the Magic World Championships at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's doing these moves and then immediately negating them. Okay. And you don't see, so like he'll lift up 2 cards at once, like a double lift, and he'll show you a card, and then he will do something that gets rid of the top half of the deck. So that didn't matter. And he does 9 of these moves in a row. And magicians love it.
Sure.
And everybody else is baffled by what's happening because it just looks like the guy is cutting the deck and shuffling normally.
That's awesome. That's like the next level kind of thing, because you're just doing it for a crowd of music or magicians. That's really
cool. And I think it's about knowing your audience. I think that even when we do shows that have primarily a lot of improvisers in the audience, even if you know that, I think you got to play to the people there that might not know it. And if for some reason you are playing and you know 100% everyone is an improviser out there, I still play as if there weren't improvisers out there, because now it's a rehearsal. You know, now I'm practicing, and I don't want to get into that method of not explaining what the audience is about to see or not taking care of the average audience member.
I always kind of in my head am making fun of the person that knows everyone in the audience is an improviser, but they have the very professional, just like, can I get a suggestion of anything at all? And it's like that pause, and it's like, ooh, anything at all. That's a new twist.
What a new twist.
Onion. Thank you.
I'm sorry, the suggestion we were looking for is Swiss cheese.
The break. Thank you.
Yeah.
Onion, everyone.
They look around.
Everyone says onion and then wanders off for 45 seconds before anything actually takes place.
God, you see the same thing a million times. You just want something different. You just want someone to be real, and that's what's exciting.
Yeah, that was the point of this project. It's like,
oh, good.
Granted, animation is not like the easiest
Yeah,
thing
it's
to do.
the
But
realest thing out there.
no one was doing it. I was like, I searched far and beyond. Like someone at some point had to have animated a scene or two, right?
The only thing I can think of, I was thinking about this the other day, was, do you remember there was a very short-lived show in between Whose Line and then the new one with Alicia Tyler? I think, is that who hosted the new when Drew took over Drew Carey?
Oh man, I don't even know. I've never watched the show.
I'm embarrassed, but anyway, she's very great, and the new season's very fun and everything. But there was a series in between where it was Whose Line Is It Anyway green screen.
Oh sure.
And so they were doing the scenes, and then in the middle of the scene, like they'd be on a green screen, not the game green screen. The whole show was done in front of a green screen. And they'd play like, oh, Mission Impossible, and like, quick, let's hop on the motorbike. And it was all the same people, so it's Ryan and Colin, and they get on a motorbike. And then in the middle of the scene, they're just acting. In post, someone comes in and draws a motorcycle where their hands are, so that you can see what they're miming. I'll say this: I do not think it worked.
No, okay.
Because the thing is, like, I mean, because you're like, well, that's not the motorbike I thought of. Like, I'm already taken out of this, because when I see someone miming, it's like, oh, I have an image.
Yeah.
And then when they break that image or they add to that image, then it's like, it's interesting and engaging for me. If they say like, hey, or take a look at this motorcycle, and I'm imagining, oh, that's like the motorcycle from Indiana Jones. Right. And then they draw like a giant Harley or like a Vespa kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I thought
everybody
it was.
now. I
hate
everyone in here. That's funny. That's like it's like when you read a book and you're disappointed by who they cast in a movie, or just what you thought, and you're like, that's the palace,
right?
Or, I don't know, just like a good example.
That's why people mostly prefer the books.
Yeah, that's true. Because our memory, right? It's like messing with almost like a short memory you created of like, well, that's not how that happened.
Yeah.
It happened in my brain like this.
Oh yeah, stories are very personal. I think that they can say something about you, and they're stories that are meant for everybody, but they resonate with people in different ways.
You know, it's been 28 years, and if you had to ask me if I was sick of making bread, the answer is no. I still love coming in here making bread every morning. I'm not going to lie to you.
Can I be honest with you?
This is just an honest morning, so please do.
I like making Swiss cheese.
You like
Next to you making bread.
We're like a sandwich duo.
Yeah.
Passions combined.
Poor Bob, though.
Why you got to talk about Bob?
I'm just saying, he was, ever since his own pigs attacked him and ate him.
Yeah, that was a crazy circumstance. Definitely not foul play whatsoever. Anyway, how's this?
Bob, I just miss him, you know?
You miss him?
I'd be making my Swiss cheese. You'd be there, you making your bread. Poor Bob would be butchering some hogs in the back. We'd have a ham cheese.
Butchering them hogs. Yeah, no need to look too much further than anything that happened to Bob. So, just you focus on your passion, because boy, that cheese smells fermented, and that smells amazing to me.
Oh yeah, you gotta get just the right kind of Swiss cheese in there. You gotta ferment it just right, because that's how you make cheese. You ferment it.
You ferment the cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese 102.
We used to ferment the milk.
Well, I don't know. I'm a bread man. The only thing fermented is my sourdough, and that is New York's finest sourdough.
Oh, it's great. People come from all over just to get a bite of our sandwich. Not with Bob dead, though.
Yeah, well
yeah, ever since his own hogs ate him alive.
His hogs, they certainly killed him with the mind and pack mentality. Listen, we got to open in about 20 minutes, and
I
we're
don't
just a
know
little
if
behind.
I even can.
Yeah, I know. Listen, you go snooping around too much.
It was just so amazing. They just took him out and didn't leave a scrap behind.
Nope.
It must have been traumatic for you to come in and see that.
It was a lot to clean up. We'll put it that way.
But you did it all yourself.
I did it all myself. I just
came
couldn't
in
sleep.
and it wasn't even a scrap of him. Just the hogs were all gone. You said you had to get rid of them, and poor Bob, dead and eaten by his own hogs.
And those are some vicious hogs, so I had to kill them as well. And we got to really push out the pastrami sales this week because we're gonna have a little bit of an overload.
You're right.
You
I
know
gotta
what I
get
mean.
I gotta get my head back in the game.
Can't have any witnesses. Not that I witnessed anything. Not that the pigs were witnesses to anything. I don't.
What?
She said too much. She said too much.
Why are you whispering "said too much" to yourself?
Oh, just a lyric of a old Al Green song.
Oh, cool.
Said too much.
Sing it for me.
Everyone knows I
Said
said
too
too
much.
much.
I love that song.
Yep. Rest in peace, Mr. Green.
Yeah, Al Green.
Like Bob, he's just somebody who was perfectly his time, with no influence from anybody else. God, this bread smells amazing. If you asked me 28 years ago if I'd be mad at the two of us, not the three of us, the two of us were running the shop, I tell you, it would mean the world to me, and then my dreams would have come true. Huh?
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Well, of course, 100%.
Oh, that's so nice. I always thought this was kind of like your and Bob's thing. And then, because you had like a ham and bread kind of sandwich thing. And I felt a bit of an interloper saying like, hey, how about some Swiss on that?
Yeah, you introduced the Swiss, and you know what? That ham was just too salty. Bob never listened. Just someone thought someone was too salty and said it to him. He just didn't ignore. He ignored you. He didn't listen.
Yeah, you guys used to fight a lot.
Oh boy, yep. We
Said
had to
too
a
much.
tag in the freezer. Sometimes I'd leave the freezer door.
That seems like it wouldn't be a game that would go on very long.
No. It ended usually with Bob being trapped in the freezer. But then there would be some peace and quiet, and we could focus on these great sandwiches here. Bob's kind of like a member. We shouldn't even refer to him anymore from this point forward.
Hey, I couldn't help but notice something. The bread that you're cutting up there, it's delicious, by the way. Smells delicious. That's an odd knife that you're using to cut up that bread. It's not really a bread knife, is it?
Not really, no.
Kind of a one you'd use like for cutting up meat or pork or something.
Maybe
like
if you were gonna chop meat from a limb, you would use this knife.
that. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it kind of looks like Bob's knife.
Yeah, this does kind of look like Bob's knife, doesn't it?
Yeah, I
we
mean,
did have similar taste in culinary culture.
Coultery, yeah. Anyway, I thought that was sort of an interesting thing. I got to get this Swiss out the door. You know
Oh
what I
boy,
mean?
there's gonna be a line of people waiting to get this.
Yeah, boy, you're standing real close.
I am looking at a few hairs on your neck that are bothering me.
Oh,
Yeah. It looks like you got a haircut recently. The barber missed a couple spots.
Oh.
I can take care of them for you if you want me to.
oh gosh. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I have a delivery order of Swiss that needs to get out the door pronto, ASAP.
Alex, I locked the doors.
Yeah, I know.